Hello everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in for yet another live stream for a Hack-On Foundation. And for this live stream, we have a super amazing guest joining us. We have Aravind joining us, and we'll be talking more about getting started with Elastic ELK Stack. And Aravind is indeed a great person to walk you through all of these stuffs, and will be obviously gaining a lot of insights in this live session. Aravind, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Siddharth, appreciate everyone, the Hack-On team, Rishabh, for giving me once again a chance to talk to the community. I know Hack-On is one of the largest hackathons in India, and then I'm really amazed at what you do every year, and you're trying to repeat and give more to people, which is awesome. And today, I guess like some of the people, I guess you might already know. Elastic, or you might have heard this session or gone through this same presentation. I'll just do a simple session and which is 20 minutes or so, and then I'll take as many as questions from you. I'll also try to cover maybe some demo or something like that, so that you can get to know more details actually.
Sure, that would be awesome. Let me bring your screen up.
Great. Okay, let's get started. So I've been doing again basics of Elastic Stack over and over, but I always felt that there is more to cover. Every time I do a bit different, every time I run through this presentation, when I'm talking about, I probably give a different example all times. So Elastic is a search company, and search is a core of everything that we do here at Elastic. And to be honest, probably most of the web search bars that you're seeing, apart from Google and all the consumer search engines, when you're talking about e-commerce search, or search bars at various places that you see in different websites, are powered by Elastic. So Elastic is like is a very popular go-to search engine for various experiences. Say for example, something like Uber, or several ride-sharing apps like Grab. Grab is very popular in Singapore. Or if you are talking about food delivery, Yelp, which is again popular in US. And there are many Indian hosts who use that as well. So when I give these examples, do think that if you could also build an app or a solution or a project like this. I recently did a hackathon, and where I was amazed at what people could build with Elastic, and with a 1 hour session that I took, and probably 1 hour session on something else actually. So such is the easiness of the technology that you could leverage and use. Not just the search, there are many other ways that people popularly use Elasticsearch for. Say one popular unique use case is finding love, right? Finding partners, or something like you do left swipe and right swipe, your search results are coming based on Elasticsearch recommendations. So there are many such names. I would recommend you to go to elastic.co/company, or use cases. Actually, that would be the right one. So if you go to elastic.co/use cases, and you would find tons and tons of interesting use cases that you will find like, oh, I know this, I was using this for quite some time. Like similarly Samsung and various other technologies. Now what you could use, if many people ask me like, okay, you keep telling about Elastic is that, Elastic is this, what is a special thing that you could do with Elasticsearch or the stack itself? And there are three important things that we do. One is obviously search, and another thing is like the operational analytics. If you are a DevOps, or if you want to be an SRE or a practitioner, you would definitely use observability, the word observability over and over, monitoring infrastructure, and a lot of these things. Like you would learn a more I guess you would have seen the DevOps roadmap, and then you would see all of these names and interesting jargons. So you would definitely need to know or learn about observability. And then obviously you have security, for if you want to be a security analyst, if you want to be a person who wants to detect threats, hunt them, find out attackers, solve interesting and crazy problems. If you want to do red green, like some sort of security hackathons as well. So Elastic Security is one such place that you could potentially kind of learn, do, and probably increase your knowledge as well as a student, and all of these as a student. So yeah, each one has different branches, like Elastic Enterprise Search. Again, Enterprise Search doesn't mean that it's a paid product. It's all of the products that I've discussed here is like something that you could use from the developer point of view. They have APIs that you could integrate, run on any machine, like your Linux box or your Mac or your Windows machine. And then like you have these products which helps you to do multiple stuff. Like for example, you have App Search. What it does is it helps you to create simple search experiences. Recently I've done a video on wherein I just created a search engine for all the engineering colleges in India, and then I put it over say something like I kept it, and then I also have the average I ranked them by the average college fees. So such are the things that you could do with App Search. And similarly, Workplace Search, it's very useful for people who are having an organization. Even for someone like Hackon, right? Hackon is an organization, and then you might be having multiple Google Docs, or again you might be using Gmail, you might be using Zoom, you might be using multiple of all of these, right? Like Slack and a lot of these things, right? And it contains events, data itself. How do you want to search? I mean, how do you want to build a common search experience? Like Workplace Search will help you to do all of that. You could search on GitHub, Dropbox, Box, and all of these, like Google Drive, all together in a common area where we crawl sync all of the data. And you can also divide the teams in between and also do that. And all of this as an API. That means you once you crawl this, you could make it as an API as well. You could build your own mobile APIs as well. I mean, mobile apps as well on top of it. So yeah, so similarly you have observability, which I spoke over and over again. Like you could visualize the metrics, logs, uptime traces, and everything. And you also have the Elastic Security, through which you will be able to kind of detect, hunt threats, and find out what's happening in your infrastructure. This is one such example of what we call as resolver, through which you'll be able to identify what registries. Windows has something called registry, and you can see what is the registry key value that a specific process or an executable is creating. Very interesting. Would be very nice if you could learn all of this, understand what it is, and probably prepare for probably like different skill sets, amp up your skill level as well. So all these solutions are UIs that you have seen, but the underlying engine is this particular open source stack. So Elasticsearch is a free and open search engine. Kibana is a visualizer that sits on top of it. So whatever you are seeing, the pink one, the Kibana, morphs into each of these experiences actually. So Kibana is the place where you see this one. Kibana is the place where you see this one. Kibana is the place where you see this one. You can also build custom plugins on Kibana. You only need to know TypeScript, and Kibana is written in Node.js and React. And then we have a open source library called EUI, which we participated in GSOC for twice. Please take a look at it. EUI is Elastic UI, so we run a React lib. You could also take a look at that. And then Elasticsearch is in Java, Beats is in Golang, Logstash is specifically Logstash is an ETL tool which can pull data, transform it, and push it to multiple places. Now this is what is Elastic Stack. People call it as ELK Stack. Yesterday in the session, someone was saying EKL Stack, which is still fine. I used to call it BELK Stack, BELK. So, so different names. We are out of acronyms as and when we add more and more features, or like more and more use cases. So now we are calling it as Elastic Stack. So a technology stack which powers multiple solutions and also quite extensible as well. So yeah, that's what I was talking about. So more importantly, in all of this software nowadays, it is cloud agnostic, platform agnostic. You could run it on Windows, you could run it on Linux, you could run it in containers, you could run it in Kubernetes, you could run it in any cloud like AWS, GCP, Azure. You could do it anywhere. You have a custom data center, you could also run it there. So it's available in all sizes and shapes. It can be deployed anywhere. So yeah, Elastic has a cloud service called Elastic Cloud, and then you could use that to integrate your applications, etc. Now in this session, usually what I do is I'll take a break here. I'll try to see what sort of questions do you have, and etc. So if you have any questions, this is the right time, and we will probably guess and answer everything. Yeah. Any questions so far?
I do not have see any question as of now, but maybe people are also asking to have some Elastic giveaway from your end.
Yeah, I mean, see, I guess I don't know, because of like COVID and all, I was not able to ship a lot of swag, but to be really honest, I'm happy to, like, we could probably run a Kahoot or something and definitely ship the swag. That's definitely doable. That's definitely doable. And yeah, another thing is like, we keep giving swag to the community. So if you are part of community.elastic.co or elastic slack, which I'll give the link, and probably you can join us and do that. In fact, actually, if you join a meetup and there is a swirl that we use, and like you can turn that and see what swag you get. So there are multiple things like that. So yeah, so definitely, for sure. Great. I guess I'll just maybe like continue ahead and cover some more, and then see if you have more questions actually. Okay, so Elasticsearch is basically a distributed search engine. I don't know how many of you are very well aware of distributed systems. Distributed systems are like, software that runs across multiple machines, and multiple CPUs, and then work together to solve a common problem. So that's how I put it up. There are many different definitions, deep definitions, book definitions. So you might also have questions like, "Arey, kya कहना चाहते हो?" So you might have that. I really didn't understand. So kind of feeling. But distributed systems are something like, a team that works together. Maybe each one might have their own role, or everyone does everything, but at the end of the day they solve the problem. Usually happens in the hackathons or college fest as well. Like, you want to just do things, but you somehow get it done, right? So distributed, scalable, highly available. That means it also helps you to do this fault tolerance. And then you could also do, obviously, search, and then you also have APIs for everything, and you could build custom UIs on top of Elasticsearch, and quite a few people have done that actually. So I covered a lot again in the previous slide, but in detail, I keep using these terms and very easily, and probably some of you might not really understand what each one of these. So Elasticsearch forms a cluster which has multiple machines in it, with multiple nodes in it, and every time when you talk to an Elasticsearch instance, it is part of a cluster actually. So anytime when someone asks you, what did you do with Elastic Stack? Oh, I built an Elasticsearch cluster. So similarly, like, you have Redis cluster, you have MongoDB cluster, you have Kubernetes cluster. So cluster is like, you have a bunch of nodes in one single place, and then you could do something actually. So this is how a cluster would look like. You have multiple machines, and you could do that. A question to you all. I don't know if you could answer. Some of you could put it up in the comments. Like, how would you kind of form a cluster in your own laptop? How would you do that? Just think about it and write the comment. We'll see who gets it right. How would you probably build a cluster in your own single laptop? I was telling that you need to have multiple nodes and all. How would you do that? So yeah, I'm gonna look at the answer as well when I stop next time. So another thing with Elasticsearch is each node that is part of your cluster can be anything. Like, it can be virtual machine, it can be a container, it can run any OS. All that it needs is, like, it needs to run the Elasticsearch as a process. So that's what you are seeing here, where an Elasticsearch is running as a process in each node, and then it works together, like forms a cluster. And like, when you ask a query, probably this node, everyone works on that query. If you ask a query to this one, everyone works. So in real world also, it's the same way. I'm not trying to teach theory, it's the real world application. And another thing is, like, you might have in real world some specific node which is responsible for taking all the external queries, which might be called as coordinated node, or which also might be the master of the cluster. Okay, so another thing to learn is, like, Elasticsearch stores all the data in the indices, in the index, just like how you have a table in your SQL engine, like MySQL or PostgreSQL. You have a table, right, with columns. Here you have index, and index has a name, and then index has a columns which we call as attributes, or, like, all of this. And because index contains, unlike tuples and rows, you contain documents. So Elasticsearch is a NoSQL data store as well, apart from being an awesome search engine. So you could also use it like your primary database. Just use it for your CRUD operations. You could do all of that. So say, how would it look like if I have 3 indices in Elasticsearch, like say apps, meta, and content. So this is how it would look like say the index spreads across multiple nodes, and all of this and all of this actually. So you see that the data is spread across multiple nodes. That's why whenever you are asking question to this particular thing, that you would get answer in a collated fashion, parallelly getting processed in multiple machines, and you get in a collated fashion. Please do, if you have any questions. I think this is a bit of complex and I'm going a bit fast, and if you have any questions, please do ask. At the same time, Elasticsearch contains this concept called shards. What is a shard? So if you see here, I said that data spreads across multiple nodes, and then this is an index, and this is so and so, right? So but the indices contains a small sort of buckets which are called as shards. So shards, like say in this yellow colored index, you have these small packets or like small buckets kind of a thing, which contains the physical data, and it is stored over these multiple nodes. Like this contains some buckets, this contains some buckets, this contains some buckets, which is called shards. So these shards are essentially the hardware, or like the tightly coupled to your node, and then that helps you to answer all the queries. So when you ask a query, end of the day, these shards are the ones that are working. So what does an index actually do? Index is like a logical reference for your data. Like for example, you call customer, but you're not directly talking to the data. I mean, you're talking to the index. Index will help you to reroute all these requests, and like index is the name that through which you access all of this. It's like a reference actually. And there are complex things, like if you go deeper into shards, then you have primary shards and replica shards. So in this shard itself, think of like I have a setting in the index. Say that I have one primary and and I have like 3 replicas. That means like you have one primary shard and 3 replicas of this primary shard in multiple nodes. So that means like you can have one primary shard and you have 3 replicas here and here. So why does this takes an important role in Elasticsearch? Because if some case one node vanishes, somebody pulled the plug, you still have the other shards will try to become, one of the shard will become primary, or like if a replica is lost, another replica will be spin up in multiple nodes, or it will raise the different alarms and everything. So that's how the failover or high availability situation comes into play here. So that's where these primary and replica shards help you to do all of this very easily. So it's responsible for your create, update, and delete operations. It pushes the data to replicas, like the primary shard responsibilities, and in a replica shard, which helps you to do fault tolerance, scalability, and a lot of other things. It might sound a bit hard in the initial stage, but once you try to understand and explain, I mean, you would get to know all of this easily. More importantly, if you are kind of say using Elastic Cloud, you would probably not know shards more, because end of the day you just interact with your index, and Elastic Cloud would manage most of the stuff, so that you don't need to worry about all of this. So in the end, like what do you store in Elasticsearch? That's the important thing, right? So you have a document which is a JSON document. So as a company, we use JSON, we eat JSON, drink JSON, sleep JSON. So everything is JSON, every request takes JSON, and the documents are also JSON, and it gets stored, of course, in a different data structure, not as such as a JSON format, but what it takes in the intake is a JSON document. We use YAML as a configuration language, but then JSON is the one that is stored in the indexes. So overall, whatever I told till now is this, that you have multiple nodes, you have indices and shards, and this is how the hierarchy would look like, and the documents. The diagram has a bit of like deviation, like the indices are not just in the instance one. In ideal cases, a books index will spin up to all of this area. A authors index will contain to fill up all these instances. It will not just go into one index. That's like a risky situation where if instance one goes off, that means like you will not have all the data, you lose the data, which is what we are trying to avoid using Elasticsearch and distributed system concepts. So yeah, I guess this is a logical point to stop and check. If you have more questions, happy to take and answer If you have more questions, any question again. Okay, no questions.
I guess there is one from Ishan. He's asking
Okay.
how will we integrate this with our project?
Oh, definitely. So that is something that I would like to answer. So it is quite easy. I'll probably show you a simple demo and at the end, so that you understand like what are the APIs that you probably need to look at, and how would you probably need to go and say download and run this by yourself. Like I'm just gonna do some more slides and see if I could show you the stuff itself. Okay. So I'll answer your question, Ishan. But meanwhile, let's go and do some more slides, and I'll come to you. So Elasticsearch also has, like we spoke about nodes, right? Like nodes which are here, like different nodes. But we didn't discuss that the node has a role. I spoke about master node. I spoke about different types of nodes which can do different roles. So you could also configure Elasticsearch for doing all of that. So say you could say some nodes as master node, some nodes as data node, some nodes as ingest node, some node as ML node. So when you download Elasticsearch, you extract it. You go to the config folder and you find a file called elasticsearch.yaml, and then you open the YAML and you find a setting which is already there commented out. You uncomment the setting and write node.role is equal to master, and then that particular node will become master node. If you write it as data node, you will write it as data node. A cluster would not start without a master. So a cluster will still throw an error if there is no data nodes, but it will not start without master. So what you do generally is like you forget about all of these node roles and you just simply start Elasticsearch, like /Elasticsearch, and it simply starts this cluster. Okay, that means every node is becoming each one of this role. It is taking everything like a round robin. So it's called as omni node cluster configuration. That means everyone is everything. Like every node does everything. So you could do that. But in a larger deployments, like say you have more than 5 nodes of Elasticsearch, you would obviously start differentiating all of this. Now again, this is if you want to not build in a cloud, like not to use a managed cloud service like Elasticsearch as a service, and you want to build it on your own for your hobby projects, for your learning purpose. That's when you need to like understand all of this. And definitely I think learning would definitely help, maybe even in interviews, etc. So a popular question that I keep getting when I talk about Elasticsearch is like, what is that Elasticsearch is powered with? Is there a MySQL DB or is it Oracle DB? I guess, right? That is powering Elasticsearch. Actually, not. Elasticsearch is powered by a Java library called Apache Lucene. Apache Software Foundation, as you all know, is as popular as CNCF, but we don't hear them a lot. But very popular. And then they have this full text search library, Java jar, called Lucene, which contains all these interesting data structures to store the data. But Lucene is a Java jar. That means a Java developer can only use. What about a Golang developer? What about a Node.js? I mean JavaScript developer. So what Elastic founder Shai has done is like he has built this distributed system, which is like a database or a data store that uses this library underlying, but gives you APIs at the end on the top and helps you manage all of this data. You see the shards concept that is not literally there in the Lucene. It uses something called segments, etc. So we have extrapolated and like built this large system that helps you to do all of this. So Apache Lucene is something that is very fundamental to Elasticsearch. We contribute to Lucene every day or so. We sit in the project management chair, and there are so many interesting contributions that have brought Elasticsearch here because of Lucene. So please take a look at that. If you want more information, I think like this is a fantastic blog that I would definitely refer, which covers a lot of detail in what happens when you use Elasticsearch. And all of this happens at a millisecond level. So you might not even realize that something is there that is telling everything. So like how do I integrate Elasticsearch into my project? That's the question that someone has asked, right? So Elasticsearch is a API based system. So that the engine contains APIs, REST APIs, the HTTP APIs. that you could use, and then simply you create, read, update, delete, do that, search the data, run aggregations, like say do number crunching, like group by in your SQL, and do all of that actually. So how do I access this API? So it's as simple as it. You could use something like curl, uh, and what curl does, I guess you might know, like curl is a tool just like Postman or Insomnia, wherein you could just kind of like, or hopscotch if you are using that. So you just use the API to query and get the details, that's it. And then you have these language clients. What these language clients does is, like, we have Golang based client, Rust client, Python client, Java client. These are the clients that work with Elasticsearch. That means that wrap around the API and give you language specific APIs. Like say, suppose if I say client is equal to Elasticsearch of localhost 9200, and I'll get Elasticsearch an object in Python and say Elasticsearch.index of this document. That's it. You put a document in Elasticsearch. So it's as simple as it. And you could also use the other APIs which help you to do query and a lot of this stuff. Now, if you're like me and you don't want to program, or you want to call the API, you just want to configure some stuff and get your data out of your systems and then put into Elasticsearch, you could use Logstash or Beats. These are engines which help you to kind of access a lot of information. Like Logstash contains multiple plugins. Like you could mine data from Twitter and do analysis on top of it using Elasticsearch. You could pull data. You could write messages to Telegram. You could do all of this fancy stuff using Logstash. Also some boring stuff like collecting logs, analyzing them actually. And then you have Beats, which is like a data shipper through which you can ship the data by installing this agent on your machine or laptop actually. So Logstash and Beats are more for operational use cases. Like if you're a DevOps engineer, or you want to be a DevOps engineer or a SASE, you would definitely be using Logstash, Beats, and etc. So Elasticsearch is very extensible. So you have new age projects like Prometheus, Fluentd. People use them as well to ingest data into Elasticsearch as well. So because of the API nature, so everything comes back to the common core. And I guess now by this time you might be knowing, like, how do I integrate this into my project? It's as simple as it. Just spin up an Elasticsearch cluster, use the API, code in your favorite language. That's it. Bingo, you can do that. So multiple of these applications are written the same way. You just need the API. You could also put a GraphQL engine in between, like, if you want to try that out, you could do that. So using this, you could create a massive large scale architecture. There are so many services that I can't really talk about that you are probably using every day in your life, right from the day that you open your phone and talk to, or that uses Elasticsearch. It's very popular. One example that recently happened, which surprised me, which made us all very happy, is like Elasticsearch is something that is even used in Mars orbiter mission, the Mars Explorer mission, wherein an orbiter has been deployed on Mars, and they've been using Elasticsearch to kind of like receive the data from the rover, analyze them, and do a lot of these things. So Jet Propulsion Laboratories is a very popular user of Elasticsearch. So yeah, there are many things that you could integrate with Elasticsearch and do a lot of stuff. So I'll stop here. I guess I am out of my slides. But if you need more information, this is the brown bag that I have just in, and like ela.st/brown bag, go and you can search, and then you could probably get more information, more resources, more videos that we are doing. So if you have more questions on the discussion, or like if I'm not able to answer all the questions, or if you have doubts, so there is a discuss forum, discuss.elastic.co. My email address, my Twitter ID, you can DM me directly there. And we also started a Slack channel, Slack workspace, ela.st/Slack. I'll just give it to the organizer so that they could post in the channel. So that's it from my side. I guess we could probably stop sharing and then take all your questions, or okay, anything that we could do. Okay, if you have questions, I think you could highlight, and then I would definitely be happy to answer. Meanwhile, I'll also ping the the Slack channel link so that people could join. Okay, I have pinged it.
Sure thing. We have one question from Abdut. He's asking whether we can use Elastic with Flutter.
Yeah, definitely. So that is one POC that I really want to do, sample that I want to give it to the people, do it and share it. So you could definitely use Elasticsearch. We don't have a Dart client or an Elasticsearch plugin as such today, but then you could obviously use it just like any other backend. You use the HTTP client and then integrate. There are already apps which are written in Flutter that use Elasticsearch. You might find some examples on the GitHub.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. We do have one more question from Mohtasham. What are the important features of Elasticsearch?
Good question. So I'll just if you just give me a moment, I'll just open up a kind of like a document that would showcase everything that is there, and then I'll just share that to the fellas, and then like also show you interesting stuff. Just give me a moment. I guess if you could add this to the screen, great. So Elasticsearch is very very large, and then it is a platform by itself, to be honest. So this is a document that I made and shared on the LinkedIn for quite some time back, and then where is that? Okay, I guess I hope you all can see that. So if you see here, Elasticsearch has multiple features. Like it supports multiple query languages like your SQL, or there is something called event query language, which is very useful to find threats in the security world. And then it also has data management techniques. It can snapshot to multiple object stores like S3, and also that the data is saved and you could store. Recently we stored a petabyte of data, and then like searched using Elasticsearch. So you could do massive large scale stuff actually. And then you have the important features of Elasticsearch is apart from everything, there are three things that you could look here: the query languages, etc., text analysis, queries, and aggregations. These are the very important things that made Elasticsearch today, whatever it is. So you could do interesting search in multiple languages actually, which includes Hindi, Bengali, and I guess Marathi as well. Unfortunately, we don't have so many other languages. You could write a language analyzer and contribute as well. That is an interesting open source contribution as well. So what we do is like text analysis, like full text analysis that can be done with Elasticsearch. And on top of it, you could query the data with multiple queries, like say something as simple, like you could do structured querying, unstructured querying, semi-structured querying. What is structured querying? Structured querying is like your SQL, like select star from or select EMP ID from EMP table. So where employee ID is equal to so and so, and you get EMP ID or like something else, all the details, right? So that is a structured query. The data is structured, and you could do that. You could do with some queries like term queries, etc. But if you want to do something which is in between, which is structured and unstructured, and you want to run a query on top of it, you could do it with Elasticsearch still using someone like match all or Boolean query. You could also go full text, like you have a PDF, and you want, or you have question papers of your college, and then you ingested everything into Elasticsearch. The PDFs can be converted into JSONs using a plugin called ingest attachment plugin, and then you could crawl and the data and like put into Elasticsearch, and then you could simply go to /_search, which is an API, and fire this full text query with saying like match this phrase. It simply matches. So you could do all of that. And then the cherry on the top for Elasticsearch is Elasticsearch aggregations, through which you can do number crunching. Say for example, if you go to a bank and you want to find out if you ask the cashier what is the average balance, you imagine yourself as a bank manager or a boss, and you ask like what is the average balance that is maintained in India today in our bank, and then like the cashier immediately gives a number. And how did they do? They obviously would have some of all the the balances and taken out by the accounts, and they did that, right? You could do such queries. You could also do complex queries like what is the age range of the people who fall in certain number of averages? What is the what is the male female or the other gender percentile differentiation? You could do multiple queries. You could also find out significant terms in the query. You could do bunch of math related stuff. There are so many interesting aggregations itself, which is very focused on math. And if you really want to look at that as well. So this is what is on a holy grail Elasticsearch. Actually, this still doesn't cover a lot of APIs. I made it just for fun, and then I guess you might have enjoyed it by using it. So yeah, any questions?
Yeah, that was altogether a lot of insights. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And I can see one more question in the chat, which is one more like an interesting one. It's like, what's the coolest Elastic project you have seen? I'm sure you might have seen like lot many. So any of your top favorite one?
I mean, obviously, the Mars rover one is very exciting for me.
Yeah.
It's so exciting that, and then I should also feel that I've never expected someone like Tinder use Elasticsearch, and when you do left swipe and right swipe, that is an interesting project to me. And then I also feel a lot of government projects use Elasticsearch in India, and I can't name them, but then you're using already Elasticsearch when you do some stuff. So which is exciting. So there are very cool projects on Elasticsearch, image search. We also have a vector search API, so you could ingest data and you could do that. So explore that and create image search engines, and you could also do recommendation engines on Elasticsearch. There is a popular, I think you might have heard about a company called Gozek. They use Elasticsearch for doing recommendations for the food delivery. Like you open the app and you see results, and then that ranking comes from a recommender. Like, because you ordered biryani on a Thursday night 8 o'clock, the chances of you ordering a biryani on like Friday evening is what. So that is what is some sort of an interesting project that I really kind of like enjoy looking at. We'll take all the
Cool,
questions.
cool.
I'm happy to answer them
Yeah,
as well.
definitely. So now onwards, Kushi will be taking over this hosting, and we'll see you all folks in the Discord. Thanks a lot, Arvind.
Yeah.
So I'll just take over the stream now. So we do have some more questions. And the one we have is, can we use Flutter with Elasticsearch or any other applications, or how to use it?
So I covered it. You could definitely use it. I guess I'll do some. It's as simple as it. We don't have a Dart client as well to support in the Dart language, but I guess you could use Java jars as well in Flutter. We have the language clients, and then you could use a jar to just use it in the Flutter. But I do agree we don't have a Dart client, but you could still use the APIs. You don't need a client. You just call the API to ingest the documents. Yeah, you could use that. There are many examples using Flutter and Elasticsearch. Please search GitHub once. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Examples always help.
Yeah.
We have another question from Shreyans, which is there any open source tool within Elasticsearch?
Elasticsearch itself is open tool. If you go to github.com/elastic/elasticsearch, it is a tool that you could explore. There is no open source tool within Elasticsearch itself. I covered about Apache Lucene, which is a jar that is the basis for everything. But then we add a lot of external things. That's why you go and please take a look at the GitHub repo. All of our repos, public repos, are github.com/elastic. Or you could just go and take a look at them.
Okay, awesome. We have one question about this, and I've seen this a lot of times. So it's like, is Logstash free or paid?
So we are a free and open company. So whatever I spoke here are all the products which are developer products. That means that you could extend, write code, develop it, and all of them are free. So you don't pay for anything unless you are using some sort of a crazy feature, like you want as SSO, you want to integrate with Oracle IDM solution, or there are various pages like elastic.co/subscriptions that you could go and look at what is paid, what is free. But I guess a lot of it is free. You just need to go to elastic.co/downloads and download any product that you want, and then you can use it.
Awesome. We have also got 170 people joining. So thank you so much, people, for joining in and staying in. And the next question is by Rahul. How can I integrate Elasticsearch in WordPress CMS?
Yeah, so there is a WordPress plugin, I guess, that we have, and I'll try to find out and share the information to the organizer so that they could share it out. So there is an integration with WordPress CMS itself, and then so that you could just ingest the data from the WordPress blogs to Elasticsearch as well. There are integrations with Magento, a bunch of other CMSs as well. You could try to use app search, which is cool, and maybe if you are looking to build a search on WordPress blog, you could try to use the Elastic app search. So I'll try to paste some of these links,
Sure.
so that you could download them, use them, and probably share more information.
Awesome. So you can just do that. Until then, I'll just see if we have more questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm going to take that. Okay, anyway, how would you actually define Elastic in simple words if someone asks it in an interview? I would say Elasticsearch is a search engine. Elastic is a search technology, which kind of like does, search, observability, and real-time analytics. Yeah, that's how I would define. Simple. You could throw as many
Okay.
as jargons, but what happens is in the interview, as much as you throw jargons or as much as you throw more keywords, your interviewer uses that as an leverage against you and asks like, can you please tell me about what is difference between RESTful API and REST API, and then can you please tell me about what do you mean by observability? So it's good to be as simple as it and answer what you know.
Okay, that makes sense. This is pretty much a question which a lot of people might have, which is how can a first timer play around or learn with Elasticsearch?
Okay, I said I'll share something. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen once again, and I'll show you how, as a first timer, you could probably use Elasticsearch. If you could put me on the screen,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
happy to. Okay, so this is how you do it. Go to elastic.co/downloads. Okay, and uh, and then like download Elasticsearch. Click on that. You don't get downloaded immediately. Don't like the binary won't download. Choose the architecture or like whatever the platform that you are running, or install. Use the package managers. If you are on Mac, use Homebrew. The best way to go through. So use Homebrew. That's much better. Or if you want to run on Docker, you could download the Docker container from docker.elastic.co. And no, I am a crazy guy. I just want to like run it on Kubernetes itself, something that is crazy. You could also run on Kubernetes using the Kubernetes operator. So this is how you get started, one by one step. So if you imagine that I have a Windows laptop, I download the Windows MSI or Mac OS, I download this, extract that, go to the bin and go to the Elasticsearch folder, and then I just kind of say bin.elasticsearch or on Windows batch file, and then I do curl 9200, and then I'll be able to see the Elasticsearch that is running in my system. And you also have a getting started guide and video. Please take advantage of it. Then you run an Elasticsearch instance, but you'll not see all the components that I showed, right? So come back after you download that, come to the Kibana, click on the download, and then again you see this. This is another binary. Download it, and just go to just see these steps. Naturally, it always looks for localhost 9200. If you're running on your laptop, it automatically connects to Elasticsearch. But if you're running in some cloud or a container, it has a specific IP. You need to make this pairing by yourself using this particular setting in the kibana.yaml, and just run bin/kibana, and then you will see a nice UI like this. So I'm just clicking over the product so that you could go and look at this. Okay, so just explore, and then you will be able to see this UI and make all these cool visualizations. If you want to like understand how I'm explaining, or like if there is a sample or something, you could go to demo.elastic.co, and then thereby you will be able to visualize everything before you kind of download and build it. understand what's possible, what's not possible, do that. So definitely go and do that. Actually, this is a dashboard that we have built, and for people who just want to explain and take a look at it. Actually, yeah.
Awesome. I think that makes sense. Um, we have another question, which is why should we use Elasticsearch instead of SQL? Any speciality?
Yeah, the search, your SQL engines are first of all structured querying. These are, SQL means structured query language. You are querying a RDBMS with a SQL. RDBMS are relational database management systems. So what you do in your RDBMS is you create a structured data, like you create table name, and you create a column name, and you create this you create all this varchar and all of these columns. And what you do is you create a structure, you create established relations using foreign key or all these constraints, etc., right? Primary key and all. In case of Elasticsearch, it's a NoSQL data store. You could think on the lines of MongoDB, but we do more. Like you have a search backend at underscore search. Once you ingest this data, you could do analytics. You could do simple search websites, etc. So you could do a lot of these things. So that's why what we did is we wrote a SQL engine for someone who is very well versed with SQL and don't want to learn our custom querying language called Query DSL, and then just use this particular SQL engine to query Elasticsearch as well. So Elasticsearch is useful in many different ways. Yeah.
Right. This is by Avinash Upadhyay, which is it a good idea to store data in a different database and then ingest it to Elasticsearch, or is it a good idea to use Elasticsearch as the primary database?
So Elasticsearch can be used as a primary database as well. It's like I said, it can also run like your NoSQL data store. There is a popular e-commerce site in India that use Elasticsearch as their own primary data store, as a content store, so that they search on top of the data, and it's very easy. So you could use like a database, simply Elasticsearch. Only thing that you need to remember is you need to configure disaster recovery settings, which is like a snapshot. You make sure that you create a snapshot at least once a day, so that you don't lose the data. How much important of the data, that then you reduce the time period of doing that. Same thing happens in DBs as well. It's not like Elasticsearch is mandating you, but we are trying to tell everything and everything upfront, and trying to make sure that you follow all the standard practices.
Okay.
So you don't need to like actually store the data in a separate database. You could simply use Elasticsearch itself. But if most companies, they want to still keep the RDBMS running as well as Elasticsearch, it's not about like the usage or something. It's about like they've been using the tech, and then they just don't want to remove that.
Right.
But the change is coming. I could see that now.
Definitely. We have another question by Rahul, which is what are the possibilities? So basically, more about whatever we went through the session. What are the possibilities for there in the freelance field, or what kind of projects can be handled as an individual coder?
So there are many projects. I didn't work in freelance field, but I feel that there are a lot of projects which will ask you to set up Elasticsearch. They, try to bring in a log analytical engine. We want to build an observability platform, or say that we want to build a theme using Elastic Stack. There could be many projects, and I guess you will find a lot of projects and opportunities in India itself if you are an Elastic expert. Actually, we also offer a certification program, so which helps you to ace up your skills. So certifications is also there. Like I think Elastic Engineer is one certificate, and then you also have an analyst and observabilities and a few other certifications. At this point, I also want to talk about the contributor program. We also have a contributions program. So if you're a student or someone who writes a blog, or who can contribute, not just code or anything, we have a platform to reward you and give awards to you. So one of those awards is like giving certifications, giving training vouchers. There are more than 100 devs only in APAC and India who are actively contributing to this program, not just Elasticsearch. There are many people. So please take advantage of it. I'm just gonna ping that link into the chat as well. So yeah.
Sure. So,
Okay.
we had one of this question. A lot of people had asked this particular question: that does the Elasticsearch have a schema, and could Elasticsearch integrate with other tools? So the
Okay.
schema one has been asked by a lot of people out there continuously in the chat. So maybe there was particular section where they had something like that.
Exactly. So this is a good question actually again. So Elasticsearch is not schema less. Okay, it is schema free. What is the difference between schema less and schema free? So it is simple. So you put a data into Elasticsearch, like you put a JSON document. I guess everyone knows what is a JSON document. Say that you have a name and you have a first name and last name. First name is Aravind, last name is Putrevu, and then you have this JSON document. And as soon as you ingest, what happened with Elasticsearch is it will automatically detect the data type of whatever you are trying to ingest. Okay, that is called as dynamic mapping. So it's also, you can think of it like a dynamic schema. So we automatically make, so you don't decide, you don't tell create table name varchar and all, you don't tell that, but you could tell that. That is why we were called as like schema free. That means you don't need a schema when you're ingesting, but you could define a schema either upfront or later. So Elasticsearch comes into the schema on write architectures. It's called, when you write itself, the schema is decided. So it is very important. If you want a specific, if you know that, say for example, I'm going to take some time and explain you this thing. So imagine if you are FedEx, and then or DTDC or all of these courier companies, what do they have in common? They have the tracking number, right? If you just put ID colon the tracking number, which might be alphanumerical, and when you ingest into Elasticsearch, it will take it as a number, right? I mean, if it's not alphanumerical, if it only has numbers, it will say long or double or something. But actually, you would never do a subtraction, multiplication, or division on top of the number, because that's just a tracking number, right? You don't use it to do anything. So all you would do is like hardcore searching, like you go take the number, put it in a box, search for it, get the documents that are there, how the package has transited into different locations. So what you need to do is, don't use the dynamic schema, and then use the ID field as a what do you call, as say you call it as a keyword. Keyword is a data type, and you say that you define it as a keyword, and whenever you search, you get much faster results. Like previously you might be getting 10 millisecond, now you might be getting 3 millisecond. There's a 70% difference in the timing of the query as well. So this is why schema is important. We recommend you to follow the schema if you know. If you don't know, we also have new features like runtime fields, where you forgot, like, oh, I didn't do this. Now you could use the runtime fields to kind of like, at that point of time, you could create a field with a data type of your choice and change it. This is just like you're running alter on your table, but it doesn't take that much time. It just takes few milliseconds. So longish
Awesome.
answer to a lot. Yeah.
So
Okay.
this one is, yeah.
What
What
are
are the
good
good
sources?
sources for large data, sample or real?
Uh, Twitter could be a good source for a large data. You could also go to Kaggle. So I usually go to Kaggle and find out data sets. Um, you could go and find out different kernels of like different types of data. Your COVID data would be a very good data source.
Right.
There are multiple data sources. I mean, the simple and yet very effective is your home Wi-Fi. Go and attack your home Wi-Fi. Install on your router one of the beat, like packet beat or audit beat, or file beat. Collect your router logs. You could do analysis of who and all are connected, and like who and all are trying to do DDoS your router, and do a lot of these things. You could do that. This is as real as it could get.
Right, like this seems so real. I'm gonna try that as well now.
Yeah, you should
But
definitely. Okay,
so
what are the future plans? uh, we're gonna make an ice cream and eat it out. So Elasticsearch, or the company itself, is uh, we do very fast releases. There are a lot of things that are coming up. So there is a thing called Elastic Agent that you all should definitely take a look at, because Elasticsearch till now is a search company. It ingests data, it does analytics, it has logs, it does DevOps related stuff, it builds search engines. In recent times, security users started using Elasticsearch, and we have built something called SIEM. If you all know, SIEM is like Security Information and Eventing Management System. All of that is there. But over a period of time, we also joined forces or acquired a company called Endgame, and as the name suggests, it's really the it's really not the end game, but then but it's a security company which has a anti-malware solution. So that means like you could simply kind of use the Elastic agent, which contains anti-malware solution like your McAfee or Symantec or everything. Then you deploy it, you protect the data. So we call it as EDR plus SIEM. So security is the other area that we are actively looking at, and that is a future of this entire technology as well.
Awesome. We have one question related to the one we had earlier, which is about Logstash. So it's which Java version is required to install Logstash?
So I guess you also get a Java ship binary. I don't think you specifically need to install Java. If you're installing maybe I'm thinking that you would have downloaded a wrong binary. If not, you need to install something which is at least Java 8. I would just take a look at and let you know. But then like I guess Logstash should run with basic, like Java 8, if you have installed it in a proper place. Otherwise, there are bundles which we ship along with JDK. So that means you don't need to install specially. I think so. I
Okay,
never
yeah,
faced it. Yeah.
I think we can find out more about that. This is another question by Rahul, which is, does Elasticsearch create a local copy of RDBMS data into NoSQL format to do the analytics?
So you have a database, say think that you have a machine and 1 GB of data in RDBMS, and then you spin up Elasticsearch, and your data gets transferred into Elasticsearch. Like, I mean, not transferred means cut, but you copy the data. A copy of the data goes to Elasticsearch, and then that is where you kind of you do all the searches. The data is here, so you could keep the sync between both the systems using something like Kafka or Logstash. Logstash has a plugin called JDBC input plugin, which can keep updating these both data sources. That is how you do it. So if you ask me why I need to have a copy here along in Elasticsearch along with MySQL, what I would say is as something that we discussed previously, a lot many people choose to keep both, but you could also decommission one of the thing and keep using the same thing. It's all about choice, and the options are always there.
Awesome. I think we're just left with two more questions, two or three, I think. Um, yeah. So the people are creating a lot of buzz there in the chat section. So let's go to this one, which is, can we use specific query like we do in GraphQL?
Yeah, you meant to say you want to query a specific sort of what do you call attributes, and you want to. I've seen a bit of GraphQL, but I'm not an expert into either any of these GraphQL distributions that are there. I know plain vanilla, so I'm not sure what the technology is today. But then you could definitely do specific queries, pointing out specific fields, just like select queries. You could do that. You could obviously do that.
Right. I think we're just done the last questions. Yeah, I think this is one. Can we extend free trial as it may take few more time to learn and practice more?
So the link that has been given to you, I don't know
Right.
which link that you got from Shab and team, which would give you 30 days. But if you need more, you just need to write, or like at the end of the day, like you will be asked like, would you like to try more or something like that, and then it would extend automatically. If not, you just write a simple note, and then we would be happy to extend it. But one more thing I want to tell you is uh, you need to log in with your AC or EDU accounts to get the student benefits, to log in and have this 30-day trial. If you are doing research, or if you are building a paper or doing a final year project on Elasticsearch, please reach us out at student_higher@elastic.co. We are happy to provide a license to probably submit your project, use some feature that you are very much interested in. So you could do all of that.
And here's the last question. I'm sorry, I've been saying the last question, but people
No,
are giving
no
in.
problem. I'm happy to answer as many questions. I'm really happy that there are so many questions. Yeah. So can you use
Uh,
Elasticsearch in Node.js? Obviously, yes. You have a Node.js client through which you could use that, and probably build the thing. So just go to Google, type Elasticsearch language clients, and then you will show on the first result is the result that you click in and find out the JavaScript or Node client. Actually, you could do that.
awesome. I think we are done with all the questions, and people are creating a lot of buzz there in the chat. They have been waiting as
Yeah,
well.
I'm seeing that.
But
I'm seeing that. Yeah.
so, everyone who have been waiting for the Kahoot quiz, I've posted the details out there in the live chat as well. You have the link there, you have the pin there. Join now, and we're gonna start very soon. But we've almost got 195 people watching this live. Arvind, that's crazy. I think that's amazing. People are putting in a lot of efforts here as well. But we also got 174 people live on Kahoot.
Which is good.
It's great.
I don't know what's the max limit of Kahoot, or probably the account that you have. Hopefully, it accommodates everyone that is there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it will. Yes, and also for all those people, so since we have 193 people here, do like this video and also subscribe to our channel as well, because the team has been working hard for the past 2-3 months to make this hackathon a success. And the fact that you all are here watching this live today itself is in a success for us. So make sure you subscribe to our channel as well, and make sure you connect with Arvind on his social media handles as well. So
yeah.
we're gonna start. Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
we
for
start
those who
the
want to,
Kahoot? Oh,
I'm gonna
210.
ping my link so that you could DM me, or that is there.
228, 230,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
240.
Are these someone is using a bot or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully no.
I think we can start now, or
I guess yes.
it's. I think we
Sure.
should.
Yeah.
And you have to reply fast, so make sure you all reply very fast. We've got like 70, 84, 89, 9. Okay, I can't count that. I can't keep a count of that, but it's okay. 79 people made that right. Awesome.
Array.
And okay, cool. We have the next question, which is who invented Git? And we have just 10 seconds for that. So make sure you all answer very quickly, because it's all about time as well. Nice. We have the third question here visible on the screen. Make sure you all answer very quickly, because it's about time as well. You can see the timer there, almost 5 seconds.
I guess we need to do another Kahoot session.
Yes, even I think that.
Let's end this Kahoot session and we can do another session.
Okay, sure. So should we do it now, or should we do that, like schedule it for now or some other time?
We can schedule it other time. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll have to schedule another Kahoot session, but that's fine. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually sharing the socials to connect with Arvind, because he given a lovely session today, and you all should definitely connect with him even to know more about Elasticsearch and everything. So you can do that.
It's a bit difficult, to be really honest, to do Kahoot. There will be a bit of difference in the lag, like someone was talking about. There's a bit of lag that you would definitely find. So you could schedule an offline Kahoot and let people take it over a period of time.
Yes, I think we can schedule it sometime. Maybe people would also be able to hop in accordingly. But thank you so much, Arvind, for joining us. It was an amazing session. We still have 170 people like watching us, and I think it's all because the insights were amazing, and we got so many new project ideas. For example, the Wi-Fi one, I'm gonna try that for real. And but thank you so much for joining us. I think it was a pleasure for the whole HackOn team to have you today. And any last words or something?
Nothing. Thank you so much, and Hackon team, and then I look forward to coming back to Hackon Hackathon 3.0, and then like maybe in person, and yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all the people who are still watching us. Thank you so much. And now we'll just bid you goodbye. So, bye everyone. We'll see you later.